The Honorable Henry Puna's lecture highlighted key issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Chair of the Forum to deliver his keynote address. Thank you.
Certainly, questions of value and effectiveness have their roots in the minds of our founding fathers when they met in Wellington in 1971. I believe our leaders demonstrated considerable foresight in engaging as equal partners, understanding common problems and shortcomings, and placing the interests of Pacific peoples in the forefront of establishing a new organizational identity. The leaders of Vanuatu, Samoa, and New Zealand, for example, have previously referred to the roots of Pacific regionalism, described the challenges associated with the ebb and flow of external pressures upon our self-determination efforts and responsibilities, and posed relevant questions for debate and discussion about how the Pacific Plan may be better attuned with the wishes and aspirations of our Pacific peoples. To those leaders, I pay tribute for their commitment to our region and its diverse cultures and peoples. This year, I'd like to take up a point made by the Prime Minister of New Zealand last year when he discussed the inaugural gathering of 7 nations in Wellington more than 40 years ago, when a sense of common purpose was taking hold with the anticipation of great developments to come. And perhaps a newly emerging era of optimism among this group of nations willing to take on the challenges before them then. This positive feeling generated among a small group of Pacific nations was a keenness to embrace a new way, a new concept of consulting and working very closely together to achieve common benefits. A new sense of optimism was clearly on the table, even in the face of economic challenges and political sensitivities at the time, such as trade blocs, decolonization, and nuclear testing in the Pacific. Over the course of more than 40 years, the central question, which would no doubt provoke a range of responses, revolves around whether the Pacific brand of regionalism has any value at all. It is understandable that in time, those early challenges would become subject to considerable pressures. Pressures brought about not just by the overwhelming nature of global trends, but the confluence of national interests with regional sensitivities of cooperation in some new fields. While we want to pursue our national level interests at all times, regional cooperation does introduce scope for compromise and ongoing revisitation. Former United States President and global philanthropist Bill Clinton recently articulated that many of today's biggest challenges are the, quote, modern manifestations of our oldest demons, close quote. That challenge to break the mold of our old mindsets is inspiring and also appealing to so many people across different walks of life, even here in the Pacific. In our region, I believe we have already begun to witness the signs of an era of new optimism, an era based on the realization of gains and an improved understanding of the way we need to do business, not just to survive, but to also prosper, to lead free and worthwhile lives. Although I make mention of the beginnings of a new time ahead, it would be remiss of me to omit the progress and the successes of our Pacific regionalism in past years. These success stories, and there have been many, are both uplifting and inspiring. The Pacific Regional Assistance to Nauru, PRAN, Regional Assistance Mission to the Solomon Islands, RAMSI, these are among those standouts of forum commitments and achievement in cooperation. Governance strengthening, security, gender and human rights, conflict management and prevention are key parts of our engagement within and beyond our region. Economically, the Forum stands strong, together, on policy and trade frameworks such as PICTA and the advancement of services, investment, and private sector expansion. Interagency cooperation among the CROP group is strengthening. The Forum Compact, aid effectiveness, and donor-partner dialogue successes now involve fresh engagement with the United States and newly developing high-level contact with the United Nations leadership and the UN's broad system of global programs. The Pacific Islands Forum, as it stands today, more than 40 years on, has a suite of formal mechanisms of action, all strengthened and given meaning by our willingness to work together. The Pacific Plan, a blueprint of our priorities, guides and adds value to the cooperative approach adopted by our 16 nations. We must build on progress and allow these gains to become part of who we are and what we have. The positive success stories are ours to promote and share with each other and with the rest of the world. Moreover, this new sense of optimism has to be driven by rising above the constraints, the difficulties we've confronted, and harnessing it to energize the Pacific Plan.